We're going to be letting some people in, but we're going to go ahead and get started. And I'm your host, April Wagner, and I'm so glad you're here. Actually, Bob and I are going to be your hosts. And we've got a great 30 minutes of lots of stuff to share with you. So we're originally from New York. We may move a little fast, talk a little fast, but you're going to love what you hear. And then whoever invited you on this call will certainly follow up with you and get you whatever information you might need after that. But, this is an industry that Bob and I have been in for over 30 years, got involved at a time where he had a traditional business, picture frame factory, manufactured picture frames, did really well for 11 years. But then he had too large of receivables that he didn't get paid on. And when you don't get paid, you can't pay others. And so, we not only lost what he invested in the business, but also his income, which was really important to us because, he made 50% of the household income. I made the other 50%. But when you lose your income, 50% is a lot and you're still underwater at that point. So, a scary time. We had just had our second baby. I was in construction at that point. But luckily, as that business was winding down, a gentleman came in and he shared a business with my husband where kind of hit all the buckets that my husband wanted. He certainly wanted to be his own boss, wanted to be in business for himself, didn't want a job, didn't want the 9 to 5, but didn't have the capital to do a traditional business. And so he showed us a business unlike anything else we'd seen before. And again, he loved the numbers, but we weren't sure what it was going to be. And we kind of thought, well, maybe this is something that would supplement a little bit till he kind of quote unquote figured out what he was really going to do. Well, he wound up making 110,000 that first year, and we have never looked back. Obviously, after 4 months, I stopped being in construction, wound down what I was doing as far as homes and stuff, and that started our career, which is just so exciting because it's had so many different seasons in it that as we move along, I'm going to share that with you. So we've got a few goals for tonight. First one is to show you how you can get your finances, our first goal, how to get your finances, your time, your health back to where you're comfortable and happy and not stressed out, not worried, help you dream again. So often when we're under stress and things aren't where they should be, working too hard, we forget to dream. We forget to have those goals again. Show you how to help others. I can tell you there is nothing more gratifying than used to be a phone call. Now it's a text, somebody texting you the benefits they've gotten either financially from the business or the products, and just allow you to start enjoying a fun, low stress life with your friends and family and loved ones. And, it opens so many doors. Our first, again, goal was to replace his income. Then we both wound up being full-time in this industry, which meant, 2 little kids at that point. A third one finally came along. But we were allowed to be present parents, 2 parents that were able to either go to the bus stop or be involved with PTA or whatever they need. It finally morphed into a lot of serious baseball, travel baseball, if you've got kids doing any kind of travel ball. Once they started to grow up, it was a lot of travel. We did extensive travel all over the world, which we're so thankful for, again, because of this industry and all the trips that are part of, or you could be awarded once you're part of this company. But, we're kind of facing another season, and that's where we have elderly parents that need taking care of. And so, we're so grateful that this time freedom has allowed us to be present in all of our families' lives. So, these are the 3 biggest concerns that people have these days. It's health is a big concern. We're one of the richest countries, but poorest in health. People don't have enough time and they don't have enough money. So, people are spending a lot of money these days to look and feel better. You can see here that, supplement, meaning you're adding stuff to your body, vitamin C, multivitamins, that type of stuff, has gone from a $20 billion to a $50 billion industry 2.5 times. I mean, it's just crazy the amount of explosion of that is because people know that they need to supplement or, even just take care of their health. Look at all the wearables people are using and different exercising and stuff. So never has there been a better time to be in this industry. And look at the anti-aging. And this is an industry I think we're going to see grow a lot more. It's gone from 60 billion in 2015 to 80 billion in 2025. And I suspect it's going to grow fast. But what about people working more? Are they not working longer hours than ever before? We're one of the countries that works way more hours than any other country out there. In 2015, the average workday looked like 7.9 hours. In 2025, it was 8.4 hours. And you know what? That's about a half an hour a day. That doesn't really seem like a lot. But when you times that times 5 days a week, that's 2.5 hours per week. You do that, times four, that's 10 hours per month that you're adding. You do that times 12, it's 120 hours extra every year that you're working, 3 weeks extra that you're working. So people are working a lot more. And with that, their health a lot of times takes a dive because of it. What about retirement? When in 2015, it went from 17% to 20% are working past the age of 65. And it could be, they're working evenings, weekends, different types of jobs and stuff. And 3% might not seem a lot, but when you look around, we are very much an aging population, and that number is growing. So, people are in a worse financial position than ever before. And it's really not that they're poor stewards of their money. It's just that, credit card debt has almost doubled. Right there, you can see that. But this is really has been something that just sticks out to us. The first time home buyer used to be 29 years old. And I can tell you, when we first got married and had our first child, my father-in-law wondered why I didn't stay home, but we needed two incomes at that point to be able to get a house and, our cars and our bills at that point. Today, the first time homeowner is 40 years old. Those houses went from 47,000 back, in 1980 to 420,000 is the average household these days. But the income only went from 21,000 back in 1980 to 63,000. So while income only went up 3 times, the cost of a house went up 9 times. And that's why people are much older when they get their house. It's not that they're poor stewards. It's not that they're spending money. It's not that they're lazy. They're not making the money that, our parents and, us when we were younger were making to be able to afford that house. But you know what? We have something totally different. And this is where I get excited. And I still can remember when the company reached out to us 8 years ago. We had been in the supplement industry. In fact, our first company, we were there for 25 years. We did a little over 200 million in sales, made millions for ourselves. Everything was great. Marketing what you might consider just supplements, multivitamins, vitamin C, vitamin D, things that we add to our body. Well, we've got something here where we're empowering our bodies to make those antioxidants, those proteins, those enzymes, those peptides, all the things people are talking about. We're not adding them to our body. We're making our body do when it did when it was so much younger. Think back to your 20s, your 30s, how you felt. But all that creates a life-changing opportunity for what it's happened to Bob and I. You earn supplemental income if that's your goal. You can earn free travel. As I said, we've traveled extensively. It's an opportunity to make a difference for others, join a movement. But here, we've got many people. When you look on the screen, when we come back and we do the full screen with everyone, you'll see we have all ages and people from all different, from doctors, lawyers, all different types of people on here that are making difference. And like Bob and I was construction, he made picture frames. But this is the first product we're going to talk about. And we've got quite a few activators. We'll quickly go through a few of them, and then Bob's going to come through and show you really how we go about making money, what we need to do, and you're going to get real excited about that. But Protandim NRF2 is our first product. And this is really different than anything out there for a number of reasons. But to you, it's a product that needed a company. It's a product that was a discovery that was really category creating, and it still is category creating. It talks about something that's oxidative stress. And so oxidative stress, if you can keep in mind, is the precursor for all disease, aging, and inflammation. And so we know as we age, we start to get a little gray hair, some wrinkles, we gain weight, and then some little diseases and some more major diseases. That is all associated with oxidative stress. And when we can keep oxidative stress reduced, we reduce all those things. So much to the point where it throws off 1,000,000 times per second the antioxidant value. So here you can see in order or the equivalent of taking this one pill, we'd every day need to take 400 oranges, 500 cups of broccoli, 110 cups of blueberries, and 120 tablets of vitamin C. But this is the real exciting part here. So there's a chart here. And like I said, as we get older, we all know it's kind of, we just know it, as you get older, you start to get more disease and aging, and you don't feel as well. You don't have as much energy, brain fog, all those things go on. And that's exactly what's happening without Protandim. But when we take Protandim, what it does is it reduces by 40% in the very first 30 days our oxidative stress levels. What's even more important is it reduces a whole decade for every month we're on, so that we can literally have the blood of a 20-year-old. Yep, the blood of a 20-year-old. And it's not just our words. We're not just saying this. There is over 320,000 studies on oxidative stress, and you can see all the areas of the body that it affects, all the organs, the kidneys, anything you can imagine. But you can go to this site called pubmed.gov and check out, and actually you can put in, oxidative stress and any type of disease or illness or anything you're concerned with. And you can see, Bob and I are not in the medical field, but we can make out the summary enough that it says, when you reduce oxidative stress, you reduce disease. And what's really cool, there's a lot of anti-aging, pro-aging books out there now and podcasts that are all hinting at when we reduce oxidative stress, but they don't really have a strong handle on how to do it, unlike what we have. So this is very unknown, very category, very exciting. But look at these studies on the product. Probably any nutritional products you are taking now in your cabinet are based on ingredients, not the product. Again, because this was so category creating, all these medical institutions and decided to do their own studies, pay for it themselves. They're peer-reviewed studies, meaning they're looked over by several doctors and stuff. Everybody has to be ingredients. So these are the finest of institutions, finest of universities that have done these studies on our product, again, because it's so category creating. Nobody knew about it. But we didn't stop there, and things continue to get exciting. We came out with a collagen product, and I knew little to nothing other than maybe what was on Facebook or Instagram about collagen, and thought maybe it was just some wrinkles on my face or whatever. But it goes much deeper than that. It's our liver, it's our gut health, it's our joints, any kind of joint pain you're having, thickness of your skin. There's so much that goes on with collagen. It is our largest protein in our body, and we just don't get it these days from any types of food unless you're eating the organs or the eyes of animals, the skin. That's where collagen comes from. So unlike previous generations, we don't do that anymore. But our collagen is just so exciting. What happened is, and it's kind of a backstory, all of us were on Protandim when we got the collagen. And again, we took pictures and stuff expecting some results, but the company was blown away in just the first 30 days, the results we were getting, because they had tested just the collagen. They hadn't tested this combination of the Protandim and the collagen together. And the studies that just came back we just got another patent on it because of the peptides and the genes that it produces. But you'll see we get amazing results. And I'll show you some of these pictures here. You can see the results that people are getting. It is tightening up the skin all over the place. So it's not just some wrinkles on the face. It is all over. So you can imagine any kind of joint pain, wrinkling that's going on, as well as our organs on the inside. Everything is collagen. Very, very important. We didn't stop there. We've got weight loss, and weight loss is a huge, huge industry. But we have, maybe you've heard the term GLP-1. Well, we have a natural GLP-1. It is not a drug. It is not a shot. But what they don't tell us is we all have this hormone in our body. And just by getting it to increase or activate, again, that's our term, activate. Once you get this hormone to activate, you can help yourself with, lose with less food noise, feeling fuller longer, no need to snack, losing weight. Weight loss is definitely the goal of a lot of people. But there's some other health benefits that also go on with this. But you can see our product, there were two clinical trials done, 200% increase in GLP-1 hormone, lost 9 pounds in 8 weeks and up to 25 pounds in 12 weeks. So again, the longer you're on this, the more you're increasing it. 100% did not lose or they maintained muscle mass. And you know, on those other shots and drugs, that's the number one concern besides some of the other side effects is, losing that muscle. 27% reduction in visceral fat. And this is all patent pending, again, because nobody has anything like this. What I loved about this product is the way that it comes off the middle. And for us ladies, that can be a real struggle with hormones and cortisol as we get older. And, the middle is just shrinking on this. But again, we have gut health. Another activation, again, it's got the peptides in it that it's producing, the genes. There's like 14 genes in the stomach. We're up-regulating the right ones, down-regulating the bad ones. But this is 10 products in one. And we all need gut health these days simply because of the foods we've been eating, the artificial sugars, the stress we're under, lack of sleep. If you have any kind of alcohol or antibiotic, everyone needs gut health. So, this has all your greens, your reds, your orange, your blues, your prebiotics, your postbiotics, your probiotics, it's got everything in it. Your fiber, your fermented assist, it's got so much in one package. And it's actually two little packages. You can put it in water or milk, mix it up real good, but we get some really good results. And you know what we're finding? When your gut is in line and healthy, and you've heard the connection between the brain and the gut, when this is healthy, all of our other products work better. And it's kind of, again, common sense because if your gut is healthy, you can absorb all the nutrition and all the good benefits of things that we're ingesting. So important. So it's got 84 microbiome friendly ingredients. It's got 15 targeted probiotics, 10 globally sourced botanical blends, two powerful formulations, one superior system, and you will love, love, love how you look and feel on that product. But I could go on for a long time with products, and we do have a lot of products, things that we're continually coming out. There's hair care, skin care. There are other tandem products, mitochondria health, NAD, and I can go on and on. But you know what the real exciting part of this is, and the hugest benefit we've gotten has been the business side of it. And my husband's the best with numbers, so he's going to come back and share that with you. So thank you.
Hey, good evening. I hope everyone enjoyed that. And if you haven't tried the products, you're anxious to try them. I know every time I hear April talk about it, I'm just glad I remembered to take mine in the morning. But I get to do the fun part. I get to talk to you about how the business works. And you know what? Without great products, there is no business. And I guess this part is really special to me because I needed to replace my income. I lost my company, to a bankruptcy due to receivables not coming in. And, I was able to do that in this business. And then from that point on, we earned millions after that. But here's the deal, folks. Okay, this is a timing thing. This is your opportunity to get involved, like when nobody had even heard of Bitcoin, or your opportunity to get involved when nobody had heard of Apple, or to get involved with something like AI and nobody had heard of it yet. Okay. The industry, the health and wellness and supplement industry is changing. Okay. It's modernizing. It's coming up to speed, and you have an opportunity to be a part of sharing that news with people before anyone else has heard about it. And here's the good news. Okay, we're publicly traded. Matter of fact, we're almost 17 years old now. We're headquartered in Utah, and we're publicly traded. We're on the NASDAQ. You can look us up. But the thing that I love about the company, and it's so different than so many businesses out there now, we're debt free. We're sitting on, over $17 million in cash in the bank. We just bought a company about 6, 8 months ago that had that gut health product that was an activator that we were looking for. Isn't it great when companies have cash on hand and they see an opportunity and they can just pay cash? And we have an amazing board of directors, former executives with Coca-Cola, Airbnb, Google, SC Johnson. I mean, oh, very, very, very well-run company. Now, I want you to think, and honestly, just for the next 10 minutes or so, be honest, okay, with yourself. You ever feel like you're in a financial tug of war? Well, you know what it is? Most of the time, you're trying to do it alone. Okay. You're trying to combat the financial challenges by yourself. And what we learned is don't try and do it alone, build a team and win. Could you imagine a tug of war? What did you always look for if you were in, elementary school or junior high? You look for the side that had the heavyweights, man. You look for the side that had the big kids. You look for the side that had the most kids, and they could pull better than the other side. Well, the same theory is true, okay, in business. And I want you to just follow these next few slides to just get an understanding, because this may be very different than something you've ever seen before, because it was to me. I had art galleries and a factory where I made picture frames. I had 30 employees. I was as traditional a business as you could get. If money came in, everyone got paid, including me. And if money didn't come in, receivables, then I had to pay everybody, sometimes with my own money, and I didn't get paid. So I'm going to talk to you about something that's very different when it comes to level commissions, leveraged commissions. Sometimes we refer to it as residual income or repeatable income. You know what repeatable income is? You do the work once and you keep getting paid over and over and over for it. Like April and I got customers involved in this business 8 years ago, and we still get paid every month on those customers. We got people involved in the business with us as distributors. Now we call ourselves consultants 8 years ago, and we get paid every month on their production. So I'm going to talk to you about earning 10% on every product sale that somebody else makes, not just you. Okay. So it starts with you saying, yes, I'm ready to move forward, move my family forward, and change my situation. I'm ready to do it. And then all we do is commit to sharing what we've learned, what we know, with 5 people. Okay. That's all it is, you and 5. Okay. And when you help 5 people generate $1,000 in sales, okay, and you're getting 10% on that, it's 100 each, or you're making $500 every month. That would probably cover your car payment. It would certainly help with food, okay, but who couldn't use an extra 500 a month? But look at how this works. And folks, I had never seen this before until I did, okay, for the first time. We helped those 5 people get 5 of their own. Think about it. Okay. Now, does every 5 do it? No, of course not. Okay. But 5 getting 5 adds up to 30. Your 5 and the next 25 is 30. Do you realize that scenario alone, the residual income, repeatable income on that is now about 2,300 a month? But look at this. If we just did it one more time, okay, one more time, the 30 people would turn into 155 because you'd be adding 125 people to it. Do you realize this scenario on the screen is worth $11,000 a month to you? Maybe it's more, actually. Okay. Look at that scenario, folks. I had never seen that before. And the first time I saw it, I'm telling you, I almost jumped out of my skin. Okay, now I'm going to simplify this for you. Okay, there's kind of 2 sides to this business. We always recommend that you do both, but hey, you're an independent distributor, you're an independent entrepreneur. Okay, and I'm just going to give you an example, just earnings with customers, sharing the Protandem, sharing the collagen, sharing the GLP-1 or gut health product. On $500 worth of business, your earnings are 15% or $75. But when you hit 1,000, it goes to 20%, and that's 200. When you hit 2,000, your bonus goes up to 25%, and that's 500. And 4,000 is the magic number because that's a 30% commission, and that's $1,200. So think about this for a second. Just customer business, accumulating customers that add up to 4,000, a 30% commission on that, it's 1,200 a month every month, over and over and over again. You do the work one time and you keep getting paid over and over again. And this was a concept that I had never seen before. And I'm telling you, just super, super exciting. But let's do the same thing when it comes to businesses. Okay. Remember, we were just using an example of getting 5 people, and we were talking about doing it with customers. What if we got 5 people that wanted to build a team? Okay. And they did an average, not a big number, an average of $300 worth of business each month. That would be $1,500 in business. Our commissions on that is 10%. So that's an extra $150 on top of the customer business that we have. If those 5 got 5 of their own, that's another $7,500 in business. Our commissions on that is 7%. It's another $525. We do it one more time. It's 125 people. Now the sales are over 37,000. That's 2,600 in commission. And we do it one more time. Now, just keep this in mind. This is 4 levels. Okay. Some people call generations levels. Our company pays 9 generations and 9 levels, but I'm going to stop at 4. But 625 people, that's 187,000 in business at 6% commission. When you add all of this up, we're looking at 15,000, 14 or 15,000 a month, 180 to 200,000 a year. That is good income. Okay. And that's not the end of it, but that's exactly how it pays and how it works. And here's the best part, folks. Remember, I said we're publicly traded. So I talked to you about a customer business. I talked to you about a business that building a team. The other thing I want to talk to you about is comparing it to investment. Like, what type of savings or investment would you need? So my example is going to be you having an investment that's earning 6%. Do you know, to earn $260 a month in residual income, you would have to have 52,000 in the bank getting 6% interest. A lot of people don't have 52,000 that can sit there and get 6% interest. But if you build a $2,000 business, you earn $260. What do you think's easier, saving up the 52,000 or building a business that does 2,000 in business? Let's skip down to this number. Okay. To make 14 or 1,500 a month, you'd have to have almost 300,000 in the bank earning 6% interest. Not a lot of people have 300,000 in the bank earning 6% interest. Or we can build a business that does 10,000, a team of people that has a business that does 10,000 a month in sales, and you make the same 14 or $1,500. What's easier, building a business that does 10,000 in sales or saving up 300,000? And let's go down one more. Okay. We'll go right here where it says 11,000. Okay. That happens to be our executive consultant one, our EC1 business. You would need almost $2.5 million in the bank to make about 11 or 12,000 a month in interest. How many people do you know have $2.5 million in the bank making a cool 6%? Or we can build a business that's doing 80,000 a month, $1 million a year in sales, okay? And you can make the same 11 or $12,000. Now, I'll tell you, April and I have one of those, and we have one of these under it, okay? You imagine earning 20,000 a month is the equivalent of having 4 million in the bank? Now, our goal is to get to the highest levels, but we have friends in the company that have already done that. So that's what's so exciting. So you don't have to take our word on it. All of these numbers are printed and publicly available just by looking up the company on the NASDAQ. That's a quarterly report that comes out. So how do you get started? What do you got to do to get started? Okay, get an enrollment pack is all it takes. April and I, when we got started, we did the 9.99 pack. Why? Well, because we got about 1,500 worth of product and we wanted to try it all. We wanted to see how the gut health worked, how the protandim worked, how the collagen, the GLP-1. April wanted to use the skincare. I mean, we wanted to try it. So that's what we did. Okay. But there's a $450 pack that's got the main four products that April was talking about, the activators. There's a pack for $250. And regardless of the pack that you choose, all the business stuff comes with it. See, besides getting the product and being in business, you get an app to run your business from your phone. You get a website which acts as a merchant account that's running 24/7, 365. There's live trainings every Sunday night teaching you how to build a business. There's all kinds of business events teaching skill set, mentoring, mindset, leadership. There's all kinds of support that go with the product that you got when you got started in the business. And there's one really cool thing going on right now, and I'm only going to take another couple minutes and I'll finish up. But right now, the company made an announcement and we are earning double the commissions for May and June. What do I mean by that? When you start your business and you get somebody else involved in the business, you're going to make double the commissions instead of single the commissions. It's really cool. It's one of the best incentives they've ever put together. So we have a chance to get paid double on all our personally enrolled consultants and whatever customers they bring in during this time period. It's pretty neat. And that's on top of all the regular pay that we get. That's an extra bonus that the company has put in for May and June. So here's what I really do want to close up with. I want you to look at a timeline, and think about this. A lot of people have worked the last 20, 30, 40, some 50 years so did you do that? Do you think people did that in general so they could go get another job during their retirement? Do you think that was the plan? I don't think so. Okay. You can earn immediate income right from the very first day you're in the business. Why we are creating the business that throws off that repeatable income that pays you every month for years and years and years. So get started today. Take advantage of the double commissions, and we could fix this timeline. In the next 3, 4 years, we can fix whatever we didn't do in the last 20, 30, or 40 years. And the best part, the more fun you have in this business, the better you'll do with it. Because people are so stressed, so burnt out. If you can do something with building a business, having fun, okay, you own it, the business is willable and transferable. I mean, this is an asset, folks, once you build it. So we have tremendous support. These are just some of our colleagues that we travel the world with. It's such a fun business to be a part of. And most importantly, April and I and everybody on here that invited guests would like to thank you for spending a half hour of your time with us tonight. Okay. And what I'd like you to do is reach out to the person who invited you on. Okay. And let them know you were on. Tell them you attended the Zoom and let them know what's up. Let them know if you're ready to get started and you want to get started because there's the double commissions. Let them know if you want to be a customer. My advice would be if you want to be a customer, get involved in the business and the products will be cheaper. And you can be a customer while you're in the business and figuring out if you're going to do the business or not. No harm in that. Okay. And let them know if you have any other questions. That's all you got to do. Reach out to the person who told you about this. So let me stop sharing the slides. Okay. And go to full screen. Hi, everyone. Can you see me okay? Wave so I know you're paying attention. Thank you for having yourself on the screen. I appreciate. If you've ever done a Zoom, you really do want to see people's faces on the screen. It's really nice, and it's like everybody's on live. So we really appreciate it. April and I personally thank you for spending some time with us tonight. If you have any questions at all, We are available to answer them. The person that invited you can answer them. Just reach out and get your questions answered. But most important, join us. Get on the team, start using these products. It's the best kept secret out there. And like I said earlier, it's like getting in early on Bitcoin or AI or Apple or all those other cool things that we didn't know about and wish we had. Well, you do know about this now. We are changing the health and wellness space with activation, and you have a chance to share it with all the people in the world that haven't heard of it yet. Anyway, have a great night, everybody. God bless you, and hopefully we'll hear from you real soon.